San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Wednesday to all of you out there. Jackson Merrill will be a Padre for the next 9 years, maybe even 10 years, as he signs a contract extension today. Great news for all of you out there that are Padres fans. Really appreciate you guys joining us again today. Just wrapped up the press conference announcing Jackson Merrill as a San Diego Padre for the next 9 years. I would say San Diego Padre for life. Who knows? I mean, obviously he's got more playing time probably after the 9 years are up, and who knows what the future of Jackson Merrill is after that contract. But this is such a huge deal for the San Diego Padres to be able to get this contract done, to get him under contract for the next 9 years, to not have to worry about him potentially leaving in about 5 or 6 years off of his rookie deal, to know how much you're paying him, and then on top of that, getting a really great deal. This is a steal for the San Diego Padres. I mean, we're going to dive into this contract, and I want to get your opinions on this. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Jackson Merrill agrees to a 9-year, $135 million contract extension. What a great thing to wake up to if you're a Padres fan. You went to bed last night. Padres are 6-0, just thinking, hey, maybe we could start the season off with a perfect homestand, going 7-0 against Atlanta and against Cleveland, and you wake up early this morning at 6 a.m. and you get the news from Robert Murray that the Padres have extended Jackson Merrill on a 9-year deal. 21-year-old center fielder who just began his second big league season has agreed to a 9-year contract extension that begins in 2026 and guarantees him $135 million. Padres announced the deal, which runs through at least 2034. On Wednesday morning, Merrill did meet with the media moments ago before the Padres 110 series finale against Cleveland. The contract has no opt-outs and includes a club option for 2035 and starts at $21 million. The club option switches to a player option if Merrill finishes in the top 5 in MVP voting in any year of the contract. This is great news, guys, for so many different reasons. The more that Jackson Merrill played to the level he was playing at, and the more that he continued to play and starting a great season here in 2025, the more expensive that price tag was going to be. And I said it last year at the beginning of the season. If you believed that this was going to be the superstar that you expected him to be when you added him to the Major League roster, if you thought that this was going to be the player that you kept telling us about and why he was going to be able to, at age 20, move from shortstop, the position he's played his entire life, to center field and not have any problem at the Major League level and be able to continue the success that he had last year as an all-star in his rookie year, you had to sign this guy as soon as humanly possible. And the Padres had tried. We got the reports during the offseason or right before the season started that A.J. Preller was trying to sign Jackson Merrill when he was still in the minor leagues, like the Brewers did with Jackson Chourio. Because with every coming week of the Padres playing games and Jackson Merrill putting up the numbers that he was putting up was more value on the contract. He was going to be worth more and more and more. And you get him to sign a 9-year contract extension for $135 million. There's other incentives in there. We talked about the club option. There's no opt-outs in the contract. But the club option for 2035 starts at $21 million. The club option will switch to a player option if Merrill finishes in the top 5 in MVP voting in any year of the contract. So for the next 9 seasons, any year of the contract. I don't know if that counts for this year because the contract starts next year. So during those 9 years, if he finishes top 5 in MVP voting, that club option turns into a player option for Jackson Merrill. Additionally, in the contract, the annual salaries beginning in 2030 increase by $1 million for every year Merrill gets 500 plate appearances and $1 million for every year he finishes in the top 10 in MVP voting. So there's incentives there in place and some additional, money incentives for him to not only stay healthy, but also, be out there and be productive. Not that he needs it. So in essence, his contract, even though it's a 9-year extension for $135 million, it could be worth up to $204 million and could rightly be considered with the club/player option, a 10-year, $165 million deal if Jackson Merrill stays healthy. The Merrill deal is the second large contract given out since John Seidler took over as team chairman, along with a 4-year, $55 million contract starting pitcher Nick Pivetta signed in February. And locking up Merrill essentially gives the Padres 3 layers of star players. You have Manny and Xander, who are both at age 32 and have deals going till 2033. Fernando and Jackson are both under contract through 2034. And then you have that second wave, again, the group of players behind these guys in an Ethan Salas and a Leo DeVries. But overall, you look at the way that the Padres are playing baseball. You look at this new contract that has been handed out. Things are looking up for the Padres right now. You couldn't have asked for a better start to the season. Couldn't ask for a better start to the season in so many different ways. Obviously, with the success on the field, but also knowing that Jackson Merrill is going to be here for the next 9 years. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago with John Seidler being the new chairperson of the Padres. People freaked out, didn't think that they were going to spend any money and everything like that because of the offseason that they've had and yada, 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 yada. It wasn't Peter, right? And so there's a little bit of fear there. But we said it before. It's business as usual for the Padres, and that's exactly what happened. They just had the press conference. Here's why this deal is even better than just the contract and the numbers in the contract. This deal is even better, and it's not because of Jackson Merrill's on-field ability, but it's everything he said in the press conference today. Everything he said in the press conference today. It was such a breath of fresh air. This guy wants to win at all costs. He said he just wanted to be paid fairly. This is a quote from Kevin Acey's article before the press conference. Quote, "I'm just here to play baseball. I'm here to win games every day. I'm here to win for the city. That's all I'm here to do." He just wanted to be paid fairly. That's it. I mean, the money is totally secondary for this guy. Both his parents are elementary school teachers. He's a very frugal person. And when he talked about a potential contract extension again before they ended up having this press conference, he mentioned he didn't have to sign for a lot because he felt like whatever he signed for would be more than he could ever spend. He repeatedly expressed his love for the Padres. He repeatedly expressed his love for the city of San Diego. And as talks were conducted over the final couple of weeks of spring training and into the season's first week, because they've been working on this, Merrill expressed to the Padres that he just needed enough to be treated fairly, and he wanted a contract that was going to be in a position in which they could build around Jackson Merrill so the team was built for success. Nobody does that in Major League Baseball. There's not one player in Major League Baseball that has that attitude. They don't. The Players Association puts a lot of pressure on these guys too. Nobody has that attitude. This guy just want to get paid fairly because he couldn't spend all the money anyway. And he wanted to make sure that since he wants to win so bad, that he's got help around him in the coming years. So saving as much money as possible for the organization in order for the Padres to build an excellent team. What a great find this kid was. From the mental standpoint, from the mental makeup, from the attitude. He wants to win. I mean, I ask that question almost all the time now in the youth of kids that I coach, of how bad they actually want to win. And I'm not convinced it's a lot. I mean, this kid is such a breath of fresh air. I mean, this is like, you don't see this even in college right now. He's got an opportunity to go get his. I think a lot of people would respect and understand that. And he's like, no, I want to win. I want to win here. I mean, you're not even getting that from like college kids right now with NIL. What a remarkable individual this man is. This young man at age 21. He's focused on winning. He wants to play baseball and he wants to win. That's why this is such a big deal. They found such a great player in Jackson Merrill on the field, but also off the field. The guy's intense. I don't even think he really gave. I mean, I guess eventually it will be considered a hometown discount, which you don't see that in Major League Baseball ever. He just wanted to get a fair contract, and he wanted to be able to have a good team around him. Just excellent words from Jackson Merrill. We're going to hear from the players. We're going to hear from, Joe Musgrove and Manny Machado about the contract sign. And we'll talk about the different perspectives of this contract. I mean, from a Padres perspective, it's great. I mean, we don't have the exact details on how much. Oh, here we go. Fangraphs finally has it down. So he's going to get paid. It's backloaded a little bit. So according to Fangraphs, with the contract details, because it's finally been pen to paper, so they've gotten a hold of it, he's going to get paid $2.1 million next year. The year after that, he's going to get $7.1 million. After that, $9.1 million, and then $11 million. That's in the next 5 years. That is nothing for the level of talent that he is. It kicks up to $21 million in 2030 when you only have 4 players signed under contract. So not only is it team friendly in a sense that even if it was $15 million a year, which is what it's going to be for the average annual value, this kid is taking less money to balance out the contracts of everybody else that's in the next 4 seasons. After this year, when this contract kicks in, 1, 2, 3, 4, for 4 straight years till 2029, he is making $11 million or less per year, which is going to do wonders for the Padres in terms of contract extensions, in terms of signing free agents, in terms of maybe acquiring other talent that have contracts that you have to pay for. Crazy. What a genius deal. It's obviously great for the Padres, right? You look at it, it looks like a great deal for the Padres. Now, a lot of people are questioning and asking, what is Jackson Merrill's company doing here? What are they thinking? Because he could probably get a lot more. And as I've explained multiple times with these contracts that were really started with Atlanta, the Padres paid a fair contract, but they also gave Jackson Merrill a contract that he could not refuse in guaranteed money. If he did not sign the contract extension, he'd still be making league minimum for what he's at, which this year is $809,000. He'd make that for an additional year, and then he would become arbitration eligible, in which he'd have to go through the arbitration battles that Michael King just thankfully avoided, but he wasn't going to make that kind of money. And the huge risk for Jackson is obviously any type of injury and getting to that contract year. Now, it worked out for Juan Soto, right? He bet on himself. He got to that point. He continued to play at a high level. He didn't get hurt. He got a gigantic contract. But for a kid like Jackson Merrill that has flat out said, I don't even know if I can spend all this money anyway, and he's not really about the money, he's about winning. This is good enough for him where he can sign on the dotted line and just be like, let's go play. $2.1 million next year, $7.1 million in 2027, $9.1 in 2028, and $11.1 in 2029. Are you kidding me? What a steal for San Diego. And again, for Jackson Merrill, and I ask people this, I'll continue because they ask, like, I can't believe he signed this. This is guaranteed money up front. Would you rather make $750,000 next year, or would you rather make $2.1 million? Doesn't seem like a big difference, but that's still it's still a pay raise. He's still getting a huge raise next year in the grand scheme of things. Would you rather get paid $800,000 in 2027 or $7.1 million? Your value at that time might be a lot higher, but if you weigh it out, who knows? He likes where he's at. He likes the city he's in. He likes the team he's a part of. He got money that he thought was fair. He signed the contract, and the Padres are in a good spot. A great spot. They're in a great spot. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. React to the Jackson Merrill news. I think this is awesome. We'll talk more about the contract later on. We got some sound from some of the players that want to weigh in, but I want to get the fans' reactions as well. We'll come back with some of the players' sound in the next hour. But let's get out to the phones. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Thomas in San Diego, you're on the Braden Surprenant show, man. What's going on?
What's going on, man? I'm so stoked about this contract, and for all the reasons you said. I mean, this kid's parents got to be the most proud parents I've ever heard of. I mean, this guy is just an unbelievable character. He's a great role model. And, you know, in a world of insurmountable greed, this kid has showed that sometimes all you want to do out there is just go play some ball and go win. And that's something that I think this city has needed desperately. So really love this contract. Love the show, Braden, and hope to see a lot more from Jackson Merrill.
Absolutely, Thomas. We appreciate the phone call. It's such a great deal. His parents raised him so well. I mean, it is such a blessing to have a kid like this on the team. It is such a blessing. I mean, how many young players are having this attitude at age 21? I mean, everybody's just about the bag all the time. He secured his bag, but at the same time, I mean, the guy, he wants to win so bad. I mean, he's leaving hundreds of millions of dollars on the table. He is. But the deal is with this particular contract, again, when you look at it with this contract, is it's mentioned, I mean, there is still risk involved for both sides. There's still risk involved for both sides. I mean, he's only had one proven year. I don't think it's going to change. I think this is what he is. So that's the risk from the Padres' perspective. From Jackson's perspective, you know, he took the money up front. It's a little bit less. He probably could make more if he continues to play at the level that he's playing at. But he eliminated his risk. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's go up to Temecula. David wants to weigh in on the Braden Surprenant show. David, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm super excited for this signing. Jackson Action Merrill, baby. That's what I'm talking about, man. The athleticism, the intensity, the passion. I mean, we got the whole package. And then it's like a signing that with the Braves. It's a Braves type signing, and that's what Padres need to keep on doing. But I'm just excited for the signing. And, I mean, this is our year, baby. This is our year.
Well, David, they're off to a good start, and I appreciate the phone call. Things are trending in the right direction. It's only 6 games into the season, though, so everybody temper their expectations. Everybody calm down a little bit. But this is exciting news, obviously. Very exciting news for the San Diego Padres. Eric and Fallbrook, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. I think you hit everything on the nail, man. I went to sleep last night, stoked, woke up, and I was like, what? And immediately went to Brandon Woods, and I was like, man, what's going on? But yeah, it's amazing how somebody can be so mature at such a young age. I think that he's also buying into his team, just how Preller, buying into Preller. So I mean, everybody's going to talk about another extension after this, right? But I'm just enjoying the now, enjoying the 6-0, enjoying that we're going to have him for the next 10 years. And I think the dudes on the team really kind of, because I remember when Action Jackson was first starting in the spring training, they asked Toddy, hey, what's going on? And he's like, he's it. he's the real deal, man. He's ready. You know what I mean? And I think for that to hear from one of the best players in baseball, it's kind of one of those things that if you believe in me, I'll believe in you. And I think he's reciprocating that down the line. So super stoked. Can't wait to see the game in a couple hours. But thanks for having me on, brother.
Absolutely, Eric. We appreciate the phone call. It's a lot like the Fernando Tatis Jr. situation in spring training when in 2019, man. It's kind of the same deal with the players, the veteran players, like, you got to put this guy on the team. Same thing with Jackson Merrill. The guy is the real deal, and there's a big reason why he got paid today. And again, as you mentioned, he's got to get another. There's going to be another contract extension coming this guy's way eventually, either from the Padres or maybe a free agency. But as alluded by by Eric and Fallbrook, enjoy the next 9 years when you have this core group together, and who knows what the future holds. And we've already seen the Padres give a contract extension out when they already had somebody sign a contract in Manny Machado. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Enjoy the ride. He gets focused on baseball and focus on winning, and we get to focus on watching Jackson Merrill play. But again, if you're just tuning in, Jackson Merrill signs a contract extension, 9 years, $135 million. It's got some incentives in there. And again, a very backloaded contract. So it really gives the Padres some wiggle room with a lot of different signings, either contract extensions. I mean, I think with this deal, I think it opens up an opportunity to potentially get a Michael King on the team long-term, or even a Dylan Cease. I mean, there's a lot of money that was, put to a side. And I think finding and solidifying Jackson Merrill for your plans the next 9 years gives you more, opportunity, or should I say a general view of what you have to spend and what resources you have to spend on pitching and other things as you continue to roll on. And again, this comes from all you fans out there supporting each and every day and selling out Petco Park. The Padres have done this, and they are now continuing to do this, of reinvesting the money that you guys invest in the team in terms of going to games and buying merch and being a full supporter of the team. They're reinvesting it into the team, as they've done again with another contract extension. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Scott and RB. Scott, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. Longtime Padre fan, lifelong baseball fan. Like Woodsy, I got emotional during his press conference. You don't hear that. That's the most depth and sincerity I've heard from a player ever. And I will compare him to two players, one good, one not a good comparison. Tony Gwynn, he will be the next Mr. Padre. Right now, I can tell you that. He will be as loved as Tony is. Secondly, Juan Soto. You couldn't get 100% more an opposite mentality than Jackson Merrill about his love for the city, where he cared about the people he plays with. That wasn't Juan Soto. He was the highest bidder. He could care less where he was playing. He was selfish. He didn't care. Jackson Merrill is the real deal at 21. He blows me away how mature and sincere he is as a person and as a baseball player. Just love it. They scored. Way to go, AJ. I'm 100% AJ. I always have, even when people trashed him. And secondly, the ownership. Our ownership is not dead. Our ownership is, may had some problems this summer, but hey, they're back and they're committed. Go Padres.
Absolutely, Scott. And the Padres have shown that they are going to reinvest the money into the team, and that's what you get with this big contract. So excited to be a Padres fan right now. The 6-0 start. You got Jackson Merrill under contract now for the next 9 years. They put the money back into the team, and this contract is so team friendly on so many different levels. It's already team friendly in terms of overall money, but it's team friendly in a sense that it gives you flexibility with the end load on this contract as we see some of the details come out. I mean, only $2 million next year. And again, the AAV is still the same. He's still going to account for $15 million on the cap, next year, because that's just your average annual value. So even though he might be only making $2 million next year, it's still going to be the 135 divided by 9. There's a couple of things in there that mess with it a little bit with incentives and everything like that. But that being said, what this does, it gives you the every year flexibility. It's not so much for the Padres in terms of the payroll. The luxury tax are obviously paying attention to. It's not just that, though. It's also the year by year money that they hand out that plays a factor in how much they can afford and how much they can't afford. So the fact that Jackson Merrill, even though he's going to count for $15 million towards the luxury tax, him making only $2.1 million next year, and then $7.1 million, and then $9.1 million, and then $11.1 million gives you a lot of flexibility for your core group of guys. We thought the window might be closing. Somebody stopped the window from closing and flipped it back up for the San Diego Padres. We're going to take more of your phone calls, plus we'll hear from some of the players. They're excited for Jackson, hear what they had to say. We come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Second hour of the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local, each and every day from 10 to 2. Today, we're going to be going up to about 12:05 before we get you ready for the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt live at Petco Park before Padres and Guardians. Padres trying to complete the perfect 7 games of a homestand. Go perfect on the homestand to start the season. Wouldn't that be something? Even if they lose today, a 6-1 start is still pretty impressive for the Padres to get the season started. I'm Braden Surprenant. Frank Marchese helped me out here today at the Odyssey Palace, as Chris Ella likes to call it. We're taking phone calls today on your thoughts on the big news and the big signing of Jackson Merrill. Jackson Merrill signs a contract extension, 9 years, $135 million, and what a deal it is. We got some of the contract details from Kevin Acee reported earlier this morning. Again, it is a 9-year extension that starts next year, in which it will go to about 2030. It will go to 2034, and then in 2035 there will be a club option that starts at $21 million. That club option would switch to a player option if Jackson Merrill, over the next 9 years, starting next year, is in the top 5 in MVP voting in any year of the contract. Then it becomes a player option, which means he gets to pick if he wants the $21 million or not in 2035, when he's around 30 years old. Additionally, the annual salaries beginning in 2030 increase by $1 million for every year Merrill gets 500 plate appearances, and $1 million for every year he finishes in the top 10 in MVP voting, which means the contract could be worth as much as $204 million and can rightly be considered a 10-year, $165 million contract if Jackson Merrill stays healthy. In addition to that, we've seen the details now of the contract on Fangraphs, in which it is very much a backloaded contract. So it opens up a lot of avenues and windows for the Padres to be competitive in the next 4 years as they have everybody under contract, right? If you look at the contracts that are out that are expiring 2029, which is the last year of Jackson Merrill making under $20 million a year, it's basically the same core that you have, right? Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts are under contract until 2033. Fernando is under contract until 2034. And aside from those two, Jake Cronenworth is under contract until 2030. In 2030, when you finally get your first big bump of a raise for Jackson Merrill, there's only 4 players that are under contract at that time. Fernando making $36 million. Xander's still making his 25, and Manny makes $39 million, with Jackson Merrill making $21 million. That's in 2030. But before that, next season, Jackson will make $2.1 million. In 2027, he'll make $7.1 million. In 2028, he'll make $9.1 million. And in 2029, he'll make $11.1 million. That's again according to Fangraphs roster resource. So if that's the case, that opens up a lot of different avenues for the Padres to be able to spend money on other players in the pitching category, extending other players, maybe be able to hand out contracts and contract extensions like this one to a Ethan Salas or a Leo DeVries. And it saves up money for the future to be able to spend to counteract a lot of the contracts that you have already handed out to bring in a Manny Machado and to extend Fernando Tatis Jr. and bring in a Xander Bogaerts and a Jake Cronenworth. It really does a good job in that. I like everything about this deal. Again, there's incentives in there for Jackson Merrill. He doesn't need them. He wants to win. He doesn't care about the money. He wanted to get paid a fair salary, whatever he thought was fair, and he wanted to make sure his contract was in a position in which the Padres can add around him and be successful, because that's how bad he wants to win. His focus, and he said this in his press conference, and I'm sure we'll play more clips of this throughout the afternoon when Gwen and Chris come on the air. But Jackson Merrill mentioned in his press conference at the end that when he was playing high school baseball, he wasn't playing to get a D1 scholarship. He wasn't playing to get drafted. He wasn't playing to make it to the major leagues. He was playing to win high school baseball games. And the same thing was in place for every level of baseball that he has played at. I mean, think about that for a second. That is so old school. I mean, there's not a lot of athletes that abide by that. They're worried about the money. They're worried about the contract. They're worried about where they're going to school. They're worried about if they're going to get drafted. They're worried about so many things that they honestly should not be worried about, because good things happen to good people. Good things happen to good people. And when you work your ass off like Jackson Merrill does, and you focus on winning and you focus on making yourself better, good results are going to follow. I think what Jackson Merrill has done, I think for his maturity, I think for how humble he is as an individual, I think it's such a great teaching point for a lot of young players out there in San Diego, a lot of high school players, youth players. He is such a great person to look up to for kids in this community, and now kids in this community get to add him to the list of players that I've already mentioned, in which they're not going away and they're going to be there every single year during their childhood. That is so huge for these guys. I'm so jealous of kids in San Diego nowadays, because growing up, it wasn't like that all the time. You had a different player you had a different team every single year. You couldn't keep up with all the different players. It was hard to pick a favorite player. And now with Manny and Xander and Fernando and Jackson Merrill and Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish and this core group of players going to be here for a long period of time, or continuing to be here after being here for a long period of time, you're building San Diego Padres fans for generations. You're building that next wave of Padres fans. You're giving these kids a great incentive to root for the Padres, and for these kids to be proud of it. I mean, I remember growing up, like, on Jersey Day, I've told the story multiple times. Nobody would ever wear a Padres jersey on Jersey Day because nobody cared, because it was a different team every year. And after Tony Gwynn, there wasn't a lot of players that were in the organization for a long period of time. And right now you get that with these players, and you get it with Jackson Merrill, and he is such a great role model for the younger generation of players that are going to grow up here in San Diego and eventually make it to that level one day. And we're a hotbed for talent for baseball. I mean, look around Major League Baseball at all the San Diego kids that are playing in professional baseball right now, regardless if they play for a rival or not. We got San Diego kids all over the place in Major League Baseball. And so the ones that are currently playing in MLB that said that Tony Gwynn was their favorite player, even though that he had stopped playing for probably the majority of their childhood, you're going to see a next wave of Major League players that come from San Diego. They're going to say, I grew up watching Fernando Tatis Jr. I grew up watching Jackson Merrill. I grew up watching Manny Machado. I mean, there's almost a San Diego kid on every team that we see roll into town, or some type of San Diego connection. This is what you're building with Major League Baseball. This is why it's so important to have these guys under contract for a long period of time. It's more than just having them on the roster. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Juan in Vista. Juan, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. It's just a great day. You know, as a Padres fan growing up here in San Diego, I'm only 27. And I remember the teams from when I was a little kid where the closest thing to a star we had was like Adrian Gonzalez or Jake Peavy, or I guess even Chase Headley. But, you know, today just feels kind of surreal. And,
Yeah.
like if I were to tell my little kid self, hey, you have all these superstars and you're contending for the playoffs every year, and you know, like you said, you're allowed to have a favorite player now that's currently playing on the team, I would have lost my mind.
Absolutely.
But,
absolutely, Juan. I feel you on that. So I'm only a couple years older than you are, and it's the same thing. It was a different player, and even those players you mentioned, they eventually got traded, and every time you were just sitting there hoping that they wouldn't get traded at the deadline, because it was such a heartbreaker for you as a kid growing up in town. And I knew we didn't understand the business of baseball at that age. It was just Adrian Gonzalez is now a Red Sox, and Jake Peavy's now a White Sox, and you know they're going to promise us with the future. And now now kids don't have to worry about that for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 to 10 years.
yeah, exactly. And I guess I kind of wanted to start a tiny conversation with you about, now that we have this extension with Merrill, and now that there's going to be $15 million on the books next year or something like that, what do you think's going to happen to players like King or Arise or any players that potentially could get an extension?
Well, Juan, I appreciate the phone call. And, you know, I think it opens the door for potentially getting some of these guys under contract. I don't think you're going to be able to keep all three of them. I think if you're lucky, you keep one. I think if you really want to put it in order, I think you got to try to work out a deal with King, and then I think you got to work out a deal with Cease, and then I think you got to go with a deal with Arise. I think Arise is probably the cheapest out of the group. But that being said, I think when you know you got Merrill taken care of and he saves you money, it really paints a picture of what you can afford and what you can't afford. And I think it opens up the door to potentially bring these players back. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I do think out of the priority of all the players going into the season about a contract extension, even though Cease and King are free agents at the end of the year, the priority was Jackson Merrill. You had to get this guy under contract as soon as possible. You had to try to get him on a team-friendly deal. You had to make sure that he was taken care of before you start worried about, paying Michael King or paying Dylan Cease and trying to either front-load the contract, back-load, and try to finagle your roster. And A.J. Preller does a great job doing that. He does a great job doing that. So if you sign a King or a Cease, I would expect it's probably going to be a little bit more front-loaded than back-loaded because of the way that Merrill's contract is. So I don't think it's a guarantee, but I definitely think it opens the window to potentially bring back some of these players. Again, we got to keep riding with the game, one game at a time right now at the early part of the season, off to a 6-0 start. We'll try to make it a 7-0 start against Cleveland later on today, but Juan brings up a lot of good points. I think it's so great. This is a great day for all of us adults, obviously, that are into Padres baseball. And if you explain to your kids, the ones that have kids, or or your nieces or nephews or stuff like, this is such a great day for the kids of San Diego. And a lot of them might not know it yet, but when they look back at their childhood of being Padres fans, today is a great day for the kids of San Diego that love baseball, that love the Padres. And I think back to me as a kid being a Padres fan and how excited I would be if this was the case when I was a kid. So this is a great day for, obviously, us Padres fans that are adults that love this, but this is a great day for the kids of San Diego as well. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Get back to your phone calls when we come back. We're also going to get you the Padres lineup for today and hear from some of the veteran players that talked about why they love Jackson Merrill and why this is such a big day for them as well. We'll get to all of that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Braden Surprenant. Baseball is officially back, and there's no better way to add excitement to opening day or opening weekend and every other game day than with Underdog Fantasy. Whether you're a diehard fan or just love making the games more thrilling, Underdog lets you get in on the action right from your phone. It's simple. Just choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats, like strikeouts, home runs, even hits. You can play for as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you could turn that into $1,000. I've been having a blast at Underdog this season. Lately, I've been making some picks on some of the Padres right now. We talked about Luis Arraez, got a hit on some of the hires on his hits. Maybe Jackson Merrill is the play today. A little added strength after a big contract sign. Hit the over on a half a home run. If you pair that together, seeing which players will go higher and lower in their stats, it's quick, it's easy, it makes every pitch, every at-bat, every game even more exciting. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code Braden to unlock a special offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun today. Sign up with promo code Braden. Must be 18 or over to play, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 and older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. 11:18 on a wonderful day for Padres fans and San Diego sports fans alike on a Wednesday, leading you up to first pitch between the Padres and the Guardians. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show will start at 12:10. First pitch will be at 1:10. Dylan Cease on the hill against Ben Lively, don't call me Blake, at 1:10. Every time I see B Lively, I just go, oh, Blake Live. Oh, wait, no, that's the actress. Ben Lively is the starting pitcher for the Guardians. Dylan Cease, starting pitcher for the Padres. Starting pitching for the Padres has been outstanding. Not only that, the pitching staff in general for the Padres has been outstanding. We're one of the first teams ever to start the season 6-0 with 3 shutouts. They joined the likes of the Dodgers and one other team I forgot off the top of my head. Kyle Glazier had it. I'll get you that information later on. But off to a great start. This hour on 97 Through the Fan is brought to you by Robert Half. At Robert Half, we found that 67% of companies want to increase contract talent. That's why our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI work quickly to find the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Baseball coverage on 97 Through the Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. We're going to get back to your phone calls. So Kathy, Kevin, and Magic, please wait on hold. But we do want to hear from a lot of the players in the Padres clubhouse that are celebrating the contract extension for Jackson Merrill. Again, if you're just tuning in and you haven't heard the news, Jackson Merrill signs a 9-year, $135 million contract extension to stay with the San Diego Padres. It's a great deal all around. We talked about it in the beginning. If you want to go back, you can go back. Again, all of our shows are archived on YouTube at the Braden Surprenant Show, also on 97 Through the Fan. You can follow us on socials. I'll have a lot of those clips posted on my social media at B_SURP, at BSURP. Follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, and on X. Also, if you haven't done so already, give us a like on the YouTube page. Got a lot of you guys watching today, obviously, with the Jackson Merrill news leading up to Padres baseball. Padres are 6-0. Great start to the year. Give us a like. It goes a long way. We really appreciate it. We got 29 likes and 200 people watching. Let's take you 2 seconds. Just hit the like button, and we'll play some videos for you. We'll play the sound from Joe Musgrove. I need a couple likes, though. We can make that happen. All right. Without further ado, let's get to what some of the Padres players said about Jackson Merrill. Here's Joe Musgrove, one of the leaders of this team, a San Diego kid who understands what it's like to sign that contract and be here for a long time, talking about Jackson Merrill getting his payday.
So being there with a bunch of the other guys, what was it like seeing Jackson get rewarded for what he's done the last year plus?
Happy for him, man. He's deserving of it. I think he's shown nothing but confidence and the willingness to learn and adapt and adjust on the fly. I mean, obviously coming up and being 20 years old is, one thing all in itself, but then being asked to switch to a new position and a premium position where he doesn't have much time or many reps, he kind of took it on the fly and, went out there and carried himself with a lot of confidence for somebody that's playing a new position and a new role as a 20-year-old in the big leagues. We're super proud of what he's done and really happy for him.
Have you been more impressed with the talent or the way that he's kind of carried himself along the way?
I think the way he's carried himself. I think sometimes when you get, shot into the big leagues at a young age, sometimes your talent kind of takes over and, you produce at a high rate. But, his ability to adjust and, to take on some of the things that we do at the big league level that you don't get experience or don't get exposed to in the minor leagues. It can be a lot on guys, and he's kind of taken everything on the fly and done the most with it. So super happy for him.
Do you think that lends itself now to being in this position as you're familiar with once you get rewarded with that big contract and kind of the responsibility that comes along with it?
Yeah, I think he comes from a place of wanting to win, regardless of the scenario or regardless of, what's on the table for him. And I think this is, something that, validates the work that he's put in. And obviously it does give you a lot of security and a sense of freedom. And I think it's just going to increase his desire to want to go out and win a little bit more.
That's Joe Musgrove talking about Jackson Merrill's contract and being a part of the Padres for a long period of time. He's part of that core group of guys that are signed for a long period. It's him. It's Xander Bogaerts. It's Manny Machado. It's Fernando Tatis Jr., right? These guys are under contract for a long period of time. Joe Musgrove is one of those players. They asked Joe Musgrove about Jackson Merrill joining the team's core of locked-up players and how he compares to other young stars that Joe has been around in his career.
locked in as well as Tatis and Manny and some other pro guys?
Yeah, the group of guys that we know are going to be here for a while, then gives you a chance to really start laying a foundation and creating a culture. And we've started that over the last 2 years. And Jackson's been a guy that when we have these sit-down meetings of the leadership group and the guys that are extended and going to be here for a while, Jackson's been a guy that we've tried to include in a lot of those conversations. We try not to bring guys in that you don't know how long they're going to be here. But Jackson's a guy that we all felt confident enough was going to be able to get to this point eventually, and somebody that's on the field every day and in a leadership type of role for being as young and as inexperienced in the league as he is. He's a guy that's shown up and produced every day and has taken on the responsibilities of being a leader in the clubhouse, whether he wanted to or not. So really excited to have him be a regular in those meetings now and start creating this culture with him as a part of that.
You've been around a lot of great young players. How many have you been around that are wired mentally and physically like this guy is?
Not many. I saw it in Bregman a little bit when he debuted as a rookie, and a lot of it is confidence. You see a lot of guys come up and feel like they need to prove themselves before they can start acting like a leader or carrying themselves like a leader, and Jackson's been that from day one. The confidence of somebody that's been here for 10 years, but the humility of a rookie that knows he has a lot to learn and knows that there's guys in this room that can help him along the way, and he's really dove into that and relied on the guys around him to help progress his game. So he talked about it the other day, but the ability to come in as somebody that's got such high expectations and there's so much asked of him to produce right away, to be able to come in and be willing to take the information that the coaches are giving him and allow the coaches to somewhat create a schedule for him and show him the proper way to do things. And to take that and go out and produce the way that he has is impressive. And we're super excited he's in a Padres uniform.
They're super excited. Padres fans are super excited. I had a couple of people ask about, what is it like for the other players when they see one of their guys get the contract extension when they haven't gotten one yet, or, like a Michael King that had to go through that ARB deal and there's not money there, but there might be money for Jackson. These guys are all stoked for their teammates all the time because they all know they're going to get their contract eventually. It's whether or not it's going to be with this team or another team. And the players, they love it for these guys. And you see that culture with this organization when they all show up to these press conferences in support of their brother getting a contract extension. And it's great to hear all of these things from the leaders of this team and the veterans that have been on this team now for a long time that are building this culture and have started to build this culture that will now continue with Jackson Merrill, including, the leader of the position players and the captain and Manny Machado on Jackson Merrill's contract extension. Here's what Manny had to say pregame about Jackson Merrill getting the contract extension.
Merrill and the Padres, your thoughts on him getting the extension?
Happy he's going to be here for a long time. We got a nice little core group now, and adding our youngster to it, it's just makes it more exciting for the city and for this ball club.
How important is that kind of stability, both for the team and maybe for a young player getting that kind of commitment from a team on the field?
Yeah, definitely for a young player his age, that's huge. Kind of just shows you the commitment that the team has, shows you the faith that the ball club has in you, and you can go out there and just focus on playing baseball and not worry about the other stuff. And on a team standpoint, I mean, it's just nice to have everyone, knowing the same group is coming to spring training every single year, and we're about there to compete for many years.
What's impressed you most about what Jackson has been able to do this early in his career?
His work ethic, man. I mean, this kid works his butt off every single day, and whether the moment's too high or too low, he does the same thing every single day and continues to do it, and he's steady Eddie. And it's been impressive to watch. I've loved seeing him grow as a player, as a person, and to see him to continue to grow every single day and every single year. It's going to be a fun ride.
For you personally, how fun is it to be a mentor to a young player like that and see that kind of growth?
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. We always joke around that he was there on my opening day helping back in Baltimore, and now he's here. We're going to be here for a very long time and build obviously a incredible relationship for them for many years to come, and just to try to help them whatever way we can, lead them in the right direction. I think we've done a pretty good job so far, and it's just going to get better.
Manny, you got a lot of great things to say about Jackson Merrill, obviously, and with these extra extra money, bigger contract, being part of that core group of guys comes extra responsibility. Manny's been there. He understands being that face of the franchise, being one of the faces of the franchise. Padres have so many to choose from on the face of the franchise. So with that, they asked Manny about whether or not there's more added responsibility for Jackson Merrill as he's part of that core group and now that face of the franchise for the San Diego Padres.
Like, he's got the makeup to be kind of that face of the franchise, the way he carries himself and all that. What have you seen from him from that standpoint? Just now that he's got a little bit more responsibility.
Let's slow down your roll a little bit there, all right? All right, let's keep my young buck, the center field, playing center field, worrying about being a Gold Glover and helping us bring a championship to the city, and not worry about all the other stuff, all right? His job is to go out there and continue to play and be himself and not change. This means nothing. He got to go out there and continue to perform. And knowing Jackson, that's the only thing that's on his mind. He has nothing else other on his mind than to go out there and play. I think he wants to get away from these cameras as quickly as he could to get back out there and go shag and go get ready for a game today. It just shows you what type of player he is and how special he is.
Manny's saying all the right things. He doesn't need to say that, though, because Jackson's he's probably already locked in on the game today anyway. Guy's beyond locked in. Guy is so locked in for Padres baseball and for being the best player that he could possibly be. I don't even think he pays attention to the outside noise or anything else like that. A lot of great things from Manny Machado. A lot of great things from Joe Musgrove. Jake Cronenworth weighed in on this as well. We're going to talk about that when we come back. We're also going to get back to your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Kathy, Kevin, and Magic, stay on hold for me. We got to take a quick break. We're going to lead you up to the pregame show. Want to get as much of your guys' comments as possible. How are we feeling as Padres fans right now? Team's off to a 6-0 start. You just signed your rookie phenom, who's not even a rookie anymore, who should have won the Rookie of the Year, by the way, to a contract extension. He's under contract for a long period of time. Things are trending in such a great direction to start the season for the San Diego Padres. How are you feeling as a Padres fan today on a Wednesday, getting you ready for first pitch against the Cleveland Guardians? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We will continue our coverage of the Jackson Merrill contract extension as we lead you in the Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show coming up at 12:10, coming up right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. What a great song. Way less sad on a day like today. What a great day for San Diego Padre fans. What a great day for San Diego sports fans in general. I mean, we don't have time to get to the Magoon Gwath stuff today. We don't have time to get to, like, the Aztecs are making some moves right now for college basketball. I mean, we could talk about that tomorrow. That's good news on the horizon for all the Aztec fans out there. San Diego FC made some signings today. Also, again, that's going to be put on the back burner for tomorrow. We got big news for the basketball tournament that happens here each and every year. Mark Neville will join us tomorrow on that particular case as they move to USD. I mean, there's a lot of good sports news in San Diego that is just not going to take the forefront of today. Today's biggest news is Jackson Merrill is going to be a Padre for the next 9 years because he signed a contract extension worth $135 million. Somebody in the chat goes, best Padres week ever. I mean, it'd be hard pressed to beat this week. You don't want to be hanging banners for a 6-0 start, right? I mean, World Series are but let's channel our inner Jackson Merrill. Let's channel our inner Jackson Merrill. Unless you win at the end of the year, it doesn't matter. We're thinking World Series. That's what the mindset of every team needs to be. At the end of the season, we'll see where we were at, and you can point out some positives, everything like that. But for a kid like Jackson Merrill, who we are celebrating being a Padre for the next 9 years, would say, like Kobe would say, job's not finished. We're here to kick ass. We're here to beat the other team's ass. We have those drops now. We're gonna play that all the time. Jackson Merrill is here to beat your ass all the time from an opponent standpoint. That's the mindset we got to have as Padres fans. I already mentioned it. I saw Prolific tweeted out last night after the big win. Again, don't worry about anybody else. Losers worry about winners. Winners worry about winning. Losers are focused on winners. Winners are focused on winning. You signed a winner today to a 9-year contract extension. Jackson Merrill is a winner. He is an alpha. He cares about winning, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win. And he set himself up for a fair contract, and he wanted to make sure that the Padres had other resources around him to build a championship-level team because the guy wants to win a World Series. You don't see that a lot in this day and age. Everything about this kid is superb. And he's also a good baseball player. I mean, everything I love about Jackson Merrill really has nothing to do with his ability on the field. It's everything else. The Padres have needed a guy like this for years. For years. And not to say the current Padres don't have a couple of guys like this, but to get a player like this that you drafted, developed, and now have signed to a long-term deal in your organization, that last season, as mentioned in the Kevin Acee article today before they went to the press conference, last season, near the end of the year, on a Saturday morning after playing the previous night, while the Padres were in Phoenix, playing the Diamondbacks for their final series of 2024, a very important series to the Padres, Merrill drove the half hour to the team's complex in Peoria to watch Padres minor leaguers participate in the instructional league. Quote, I care, Merrill said at the time. It's not just about the big leagues. I'm just trying to go and learn who we've got down there and stay in touch. It's hard during the year to keep up with those guys. I wanted to see what we're working with. Are you kidding me? This is a guy that believes in the organization. This is a guy that wants to be successful at all levels. This is a guy that is passionate about his craft and the future of the San Diego Padres organization. This is a guy you can never let ever leave this organization for any reason. You cannot let this guy leave for any reason. And at the end of this extension, it's not like he's going to be done playing baseball. He's going to be like 30, 31 years old when this extension is over. This guy can never leave. He went out of his way while he's playing in an important series against the Diamondbacks during a playoff push. I think at that point they were already clinched, but still, getting ready for playoff baseball. He drove over to Peoria to watch Instructional League. He wanted to know what's coming up the pipeline. Are you kidding me? Who does this? Who does this? You know who does this? Winners do this. This is what winners do. Winners do the extra things that losers don't want to do. This is what makes them winners. Going the extra mile, putting in the extra, the care. This guy gives an S. You need more players like this. I wish the Padres had 9 Jackson Merrills. Not to say that the guys that they currently have can't do this or aren't doing the same thing, because you got a lot of great players on this team too. But the makeup of Jackson Merrill, and we haven't talked at all about his on-field playing capabilities. I don't even need to say anything about that. It's everything else. He wanted to stay in touch and see what we got, what we're working with. This guy in spring training doesn't leave when he exits the game. He stays and watches the entire game with the young guys. That's what builds a great culture. We talked about that weeks ago. That's what starts this kind of trajectory. Look, I don't like giving the team up in LA any type of credit. I think they spend a lot of money. I think they play by different rules, right? But they, over about a 20-year span, have created this level and this culture that they currently have. Padres needed to do that. They've been building it. This kid is going to take you to the place that you want to be. He's going to do it. And he doesn't need to be the face of the franchise. He doesn't need to be the extra leader, and he doesn't have to worry about all these other things. He's going to do it because the guy's a winner and he cares. You don't see that in professional sports a lot. You don't see that. You don't see it in college anymore. You don't see it in pro sports anymore. What this kid can bring. It's really remarkable. And by the way, he's 21. Like, this is the stuff like players do when they're like 28, 29, 30 years old, when it starts to get real for them. I only got a handful of years left. We got to go after it and win a championship. This guy is doing it at 21. Unbelievable. What he said today in the press conference was phenomenal. What he brings, the intangibles, the support of the minor league guys, that bridging the gap between the minor league players and the major league club, and understanding the importance of the entire organization as a whole. You can never let this guy leave. Ever. That's why it was so imperative to sign this guy as soon as you could. That's why it was so imperative to, figure out what he was going to get paid. This is why AJ Preller and the Padres have been trying to sign this guy to a long-term extension for the last couple of years. This is not just it happened overnight. They've been trying to do this for years. And they, as we got the reports over the offseason, couldn't find a common ground over the last 2 years. Jackson wanted to prove it on the field. He did it last year. He did it for the first 6 games. It started in spring training with these negotiations. He got what he wanted, and he's locked in for 9 years. He's going to be the top-selling jersey in San Diego if he isn't already. Absolutely. I talked about the importance that this is with the next generation of Padres fans and that next generation of baseball players growing up in San Diego. This is a hotbed for talent in baseball. Almost every single time a team rolls into town, there's a San Diegan on the other team. We got some on our team and in our organization. And in the next generation of players, you're going to see those guys come in and they're going to be repping other uniforms. And guess what number they're going to be wearing? They're going to be wearing 23, and they're going to be wearing 3, and they're going to be wearing 13. And those are going to be the players that they grew up watching, the Manny Machados, the Fernando Tatis Jr.'s, the Jackson Merrills. And they're going to be coming back to San Diego, maybe representing a different organization, going, this is the player that I watched growing up, and this is how I got to this level. I know he's on the Dodgers now. Tommy Edwin wears 19, grew up in San Diego. I wonder why. So now you're going to have that. You're going to have that core group that the youth is able to watch for years during their entire childhood. This is so great for so many different reasons. We talked about the money level, right, and saving money. We talked about how it's going to, open up the door to potentially re-sign Michael King, maybe Dylan Cease, maybe Luis Ariz. I think it's probably one of the 3. I think it opens up them to make trades at the deadline, to add more payroll, regardless of what they have willing to give away at this point in time. I think it opens up the door for them to potentially even sign Salas or DeVries to contract extensions early on. And I also think it opens up the door for them to be players in free agency. The window is open. The window has gotten back open with this contract extension. It was starting to close for a second. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I want to mention this hour is brought to you by Frozen Ropes San Diego. Hey, parents, here's a message from Coach Kurt with Frozen Ropes. Is your child 6 to 12 years old? Our baseball summer league is perfect fit for your player. Starting June 16th through August 17th, summer league includes 8 practices, 8 games. Register by April 30th and save $50. Go to SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com. Thanks again for you guys for staying on hold. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Talking about Jackson Merrill being a Padre for the next 9 years after signing a 9-year, $135 million contract extension. We're going to take you up to 12:05 today, so at some point we'll have to pause for station identification. We're leading you up to the Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show. Sam Levitt's going to have way more of this content as we lead you up to first pitch between the Guardians and the Padres. Padres trying to start the season a perfect 7-0 and do a perfect opening series or perfect opening weekend, perfect homestand before they head off to Chicago to take on the Cubs over the weekend. We'll have more of this coverage again tomorrow, starting with the roundtable at 10 a.m. What a great time for this contract to happen for the first roundtable tomorrow with all of our on-air hosts joining us on 97 through the Fan. You won't want to miss that either. Let's get back to the phones. We'll start with Magic in San Diego. Magic, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Partner, how you doing? First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on your new gig. I got to tell you this, Brad. You come so prepared and so professional. There's not many that I know in this business that do it like you do. And I knew you were due for a big new job. And so I'm so proud of you. And so continued success with that.
Thank you, Magic. I appreciate that.
Not a problem. And secondly, now I got to tell you, you know me. I'm a kind of transplant from East Coast, and I'll always be a Steeler fan. And I came out in '85 in the military and stayed because of the weather. Now, I got to tell you, this morning when I woke up and heard about what happened with the contract with the young kid and what happened with Magoon Gwath, I can finally say since 1985, I am a proud sports fan in San Diego. With the success of the basketball team, Gwath coming back, Jackson Merrill, the way the Pods have really seemed like they really want to do this the right way. I got tired of being in a big city and having mediocre sports teams. We got a soccer team now. We got a great baseball team now. A great basketball program now. This is an exciting time to be a sports fan, even if you're transplanted or not. So I can say from here on out, I'm looking forward to success for San Diego sports and continued success, Brandon.
I appreciate that, Magic. I'm fired up now. I'm ready to run through a wall after Magic's phone call. Absolutely. Man from Pittsburgh coming to town. He's a proud San Diego sports fan, too. I love it. Appreciate the phone call from Magic. Let's get to Kathy in L.A. Kathy in L.A. has been waiting to buy the Merrill jersey. Kathy, I think you could do it now.
Yeah, of course. I've been waiting a long time for it. But the other thing is Braden. He reminds me a lot of Bobby Witt, just personality-wise. Very humble, very, just well put together. And I was thinking back to the 2019 Fan Fest. I had a lot of signatures. I've had a lot of signatures on that baseball. Not one person on that ball is still on the team. Not one. And it's nice. I think that when people were complaining that AJ really didn't do much this off season, he didn't have to, because the pieces that we need weren't really. We really didn't need much, because the pieces that we have now, we just need a little supplemental, So,
Kathy, I appreciate the phone call. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the big talking points that we had was during the offseason is even though the Padres didn't do anything, they had a solid team already, and guys were coming back from injury, and you had this young group of players as well with Fernando and Jackson Merrill, and you could bet on this team. And so far, they're off to a really good start. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Do have a couple callers that we do have to screen before we get them on the air, just to get your name and everything like that. Again, a lot of brand new callers. We really appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Again, talking about Jackson Merrill's contract extension, 9 years, $135 million. It's very backloaded as well, according to Fangraphs roster resource. So it opens up the door to be able to spend more money on other players. That was a big point of emphasis for Jackson Merrill when signing the contract. He wanted to make sure that you could build around him as well. He didn't want to take all the money where the Padres didn't have money to spend when they needed to go out there and add other pieces. You don't see that in baseball a whole lot. You see it in football because money's not guaranteed and they mix things up with bonuses and everything like that. You don't see that in baseball too much. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Justin in Santee. Justin, you're on the Braden Surprenant show, man. What's going on?
Hey, Braden. Man, really proud that you got your show. You deserve it big time, man. Just to start off, and woo! I have been saying since the moment I have met Jackson Merrill or have heard about Jackson Merrill, this man is something we have to lock down. And oh my goodness, am I so happy about it.
Got to be stoked, Justin, to see that Jackson Merrill is going to be a Padre for the next 9 years, and hopefully, they'll give him another extension at the end of that after maybe a World Series win or two. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
That would be beautiful. And like you were saying before, his contract is heavy loaded at the back end. Like this, it couldn't be a more perfect lining up of a contract. Like this is just so beautiful for the Padre fan base, for the faithful, and just to see a guy like him, another Toddy tied down with Machado. It's just, and Cronenworth, it's great to have a group of guys that are dedicated to this team and to this town, and it's so beautiful to see.
Absolutely, Justin. I appreciate the phone call, man. Enjoy the ball game, later on this afternoon. I think a lot of people are excited to get down to Petco Park today and see the Padres one more time before they hit the road. Again, they'll be off tomorrow, but we got the roundtable tomorrow. Should be a fun day talking about this contract and a lot of other things that involve the Padres. Couldn't have asked for a better start. Again, 162 is still in play, 162-0, but I mean, eventually, there is going to be a loss. So we can't be don't get overexcited too much yet. But today's a good day to be a Padres fan, and it's a good day to be a proud Padres fan. It's an exciting day for the Padres. You couldn't have asked for a better start to the season. And then on top of that, the icing on the cake is Jackson Merrill signs a 9-year contract extension worth $135 million. There's more details on that, obviously. He's got some incentives in there as well, as also a club option at the end in 2035. If Jackson Merrill finishes in top 5 of MVP voting, and any year during the contract, that will become a player's option. And then there's other money and there's other dollar figure incentives for $1 million for MVP votes, as well as 500 at bats in a season that he can start getting in 2030 or more. So it's a 9-year, $135 million contract extension, but it could also, relatively be a 10-year, $165, and the contract fully, if he is able to accomplish everything on that incentive list, could get up to $205 million. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Nick in La Mesa. Nick, what's going on, man? How's your Wednesday?
Doing well, Braden. Unfortunately, having to drive to enemy territory, but we'll make it through. I just wanted to chime in. You mentioned earlier, before the last break, the number of kids from San Diego that are going to grow up that want to wear these numbers. I'll tell you, as a Little League coach, I mean, number 13, number 23, and number 3 and 44 are the top numbers that everyone has on their list the last couple of years. And, it's just going to, that's going to continue. My son happily wears number 3 and is, when he couldn't get number 23 this year, he said, well, I'll take number 3. And he didn't even bat an eye. He was excited to wear it. So, really excited for that. great job on the Padres to have to outdo San Diego State with that announcement this morning. They couldn't let San Diego State steal the thunder today. So
Yeah, apparently not.
Thank you and congrats on the show.
Nick, I appreciate it. Enjoy the, stay safe in enemy territory on your drive up. But, that's what it's about, man. I mean, sports, for kids is such a great experience. And the fact that they have those, to pick from, and not everybody's fighting over 19 because that was the only player that we had growing up for a long time. And again, I mean, the majority of his career was played before my generation of fan was alive. I mean, and then my younger siblings don't even remember watching Tony Gwynn play. I mean, I barely do. I was 3 years old in 1998, and that was near the end of his, near the end of his career. Only a couple more years after that, and then it was a bunch of random players for a long period of time. But again, Joe Musgrove wearing 44, Jake Peavy wearing 44 during his time growing up, and Musgrove's a couple years older than me, but that's what it's about. I mean, that fires me up with the kids in San Diego wanting to rep 23 and 44 and 13 and number 3. It almost brings a tear to my eye because I remember just as a kid growing up in San Diego. I mean, that just wasn't the deal. It was a different town back then in terms of sports team recognition, and a lot of Padres fans out there for the kids. And especially not on Jersey Day. We've talked about that before. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We do have to pause for a station ID, which we could do within 5 minutes of either side. So we're going to do that now, before we take you up to 12:05 again, a little bit of extended today just because we got the Padres pregame show coming up at 12:10. So we're going to pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves as the Braden Surprenant Show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Braden Surprenant here on the Braden Surprenant Show. We're going to go to 12:05 today, carrying the content of Jackson Merrill signing the 9-year, $135 million contract extension. What a great day for San Diego. And every time, I start going down memory lane a little bit with growing up here, being a fourth-generation San Diegan, and just thinking about how it's a better place for Padres fans that are kids, growing up right now, with all of these players under contract for a long time. I'm really fired up for them. Little jealous, but also fired up for them as well. You always want to try to pass on a better world in some fashion to the next generation, and I think the Padres ownership is doing that for the youth of San Diego today with the extension of Jackson Merrill. Let's get out to Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin, man, what a great start to the Padres season, huh?
Well, we've got 162-0 still in play.
Still alive, Kevin. I know you made your bets in Vegas. It's still alive.
Yeah,
we're still rolling with it. Let the good times roll.
Listen, we're in baseball utopia, the likes of which we've not seen ever. And I've been around since 1969, so I date you a little bit. But nonetheless,
just a little, though, Kevin. Not too much.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so here's some important points that we've not talked about. The Padres are winning at home. This was something that they've struggled with over the last several years. For these guys to come in here and play the kind of outstanding baseball this early at home and win, this is just a total surprise because they've struggled here at home. And let's hope that continues. That's such an important thing. Getting back to Jackson, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish made a point. And if you ever watch their documentaries, their mantra before every game is, let's go out and kick some ass. They weren't the most athletically talented group, but by God, they could get together as a team and play, and they would basically wipe you off the court with their mental approach to the game. That's what we're talking about here with Jackson, and I would far take him in advance over anything that Juan Soto has to offer. Jackson Merrill is the true definition of generational talent. And I think we will see great rewards that come from that. And last but not least, I want to thank our good friend Eric Hosmer. Eric Hosmer this year releases $13 million off the books that makes all of this possible. So thank you, Eric, finally getting the hell off of our books. And I don't know if there's any others out there that we're paying for not playing, but nonetheless, let's get all these numbers off the books. And this helps us with King and Cease and the others that we need to take care of in the future.
Absolutely, Kevin. Appreciate the phone call, man. Eric Hosmer, shout out on the Braden Surprenant show today was not on my bingo card. Who's got that one? Does I Need Money have that one on his bingo card today? Couldn't believe it. Kevin brings up a lot of good points. The attitude of Jackson Merrill is so great. And like I said before, the mental makeup of that kid is really remarkable. We're taking it up to 12:05. We're going to try to get as many of these phone calls in as possible. Brandon in Carlsbad, you're on the Braden Surprenant show, man. What's going on?
Hey, Braden, I just wanted to play a little prank on you. This is Coach Quintera just calling to check in on everybody with this madness going on. Just kidding, Braden. What's up, man? I love talking to you guys. Obviously, I wanted to do a little shout-out to Coach. But, man, we're fired up here in San Diego. You know, let's ride this wave hot. Jackson deserves it. The city deserves it. You guys on Odyssey deserve it. Let's roll, baby, because this is what it's all about.
Brandon, appreciate the phone call, man. That was great. It's a great day for San Diego. We'll try to blow through these phone calls here and get a little bit more. Thomas in San Diego, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on?
Hey, Braden, how you doing today? What an exciting day, huh?
Great day for a lot of Padres fans out there.
Yeah, I'll make this real quick. Lifelong San Diegan, and we have a piece of history in Petco Park. My dad actually worked at the Western Metal Building for 13 years when it was a warehouse. And so
That's awesome. My grandfather used to buy supplies from that place, build them houses back in the day.
There you go. There you go. So anyway, I just wanted to say go Padres. Very, very excited for our future.
Thomas, that's a great way to finish off the show today. It's exciting times. Obviously, regardless of what the result is today, doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Padres off to a great start. Let's ride with this team. It's going to be a fun year for the rest of the year, I would imagine. And what a great day. Hopefully the Padres can continue that day today against Cleveland. Coming up next, Equal SoCal Padres pregame show. We got the roundtable tomorrow, plus the Braden Surprenant show for the next 3 hours on tomorrow's show. See you then.